This is KSL Sports Live, broadcasting from the Mountain Home Services studios.
Down to the college football season, down to just 20 days. Thanks for staying up with us tonight. We have the latest camp news from both the Utes and the Cougars. After wrapping up Leagues Cup play, Real Salt Lake returns to Major League Soccer play Sunday, unbeaten in 9 of their last 10 games. They've moved from 13th to 8th in the West during that span, contending for the playoffs once again, trying to stay hot in New Jersey against the Red Bulls Sunday. And it took just 3 minutes for RSL to find the back of the net.
For William Agata, and further for Gozo!
Utah native Xavier Gozo continues to impress. His third goal of his young career. RSL led 1-0 at the half. We go to the second half and things turn for RSL. 52nd minute, that lead disappears. Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting beats Rafa Cabral for the equalizer, and we're knotted up at 1. Things get a little wild in the final minutes. 80th minute, a penalty in the box. Gives the Red Bulls a penalty kick. It's Choupo-Moting again who takes it, but Rafa Cabral comes up with a big stop. To be honest, not a great effort on that attempt. 85th minute, more drama. Diego Luna gets a yellow card for taking down a Red Bulls player. It's his second yellow, and he's sent off. RSL now down a man. Everyone's upset about it because you'll see here the official goes to VAR, and after review, it's the Red Bulls player, Kyle Duncan, who commits a violent conduct offense, pulling Diego Luna down. That's a red card. He's shown off. So it's 10-on-10 the rest of the way. Who would take advantage of that? Well, it turned out to be New York. Stoppage time, Choupo-Moting is tackled in the box by Justin Glad. Glad can't believe it. Not offsides, no handball on Choupo-Moting. Glad gets the penalty, so he gets a second chance at a PK and totally redeems himself at the expense of RSL. That's how it ends. A frustrating result for Real Salt Lake. Next up, another road trip on Saturday to North Carolina to take on Charlotte.
Your guess is as good as mine, and then on Diego's play as well. You know, there's the last 15 minutes of that game was craziness. The field was probably the worst soccer field I've seen, definitely professionally, but even high school and college and it was the worst field. And so we just got to really dial in on the performance, learning something from the field that we played on, the opponents that we played against, but more importantly, how we can continue to evolve as a group.
All right, now to college football. Saturday, BYU completed its first live scrimmage of fall camp at Lavelle Edwards Stadium, a scrimmage that was closed to the public and to us, the media, but it included over 100 live snaps under the watchful eye of a full Big 12 officiating crew. Kalani Sitake told the media after the scrimmage that it was about as close to a real game day feel as these guys can get at this point in camp. On offense, the reps in the quarterback competition between McKay Hillstead, Trayson Bourget, and Bear Bachmeier were evenly divided. None of them did anything on Saturday to really stand out in the race to separate themselves, but the time to start developing the depth chart isn't too far away.
It's hard to make that decision now. Want to look at the film and want to see, certain reads and if they made the right decisions. I think you guys heard me talk about that before. Just decision making is what we want to see.
It's not going to be keeping equal reps, forever. There's going to be a point pretty soon. I'm not ready to say exactly when, but there's going to be a time pretty soon where we're going to have to start, establishing a pecking order. If we keep going the way we're going forever, then nobody will be ready to play in our first game. So that move will be happening soon.
Well, according to Sitake, Aaron Roderick, and Jay Hill, the defense by far won the day during the scrimmage. Each of them also admitted that it is pretty standard for the first scrimmage of camp for the defense to dominate. The depth and versatility of the defensive line was the highlight of the day, while the linebacking crew continues to play at an all-conference level. No surprise there. The defense is already ahead of where they were last year.
Well, they better be ahead. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that have played on this defense that understand a lot more. I mean, it's even the operational part. It's them knowing and getting a good feel from the play caller in Jay Hill.
Maybe one of the places I'm most happy with is our pass rush looks different right now than it did last year. We got some dynamic guys off the edge. Some of those young bucks that we recruited the first years I was here are starting to show up, and I can't wait to watch them in the game because the pass rush looks good.
Well, the current Utes are carving their way through fall camp, preparing for August 30th season opener at UCLA and year 2 in the Big 12 Conference. And, of course, expectations for this team continue to rise. They're a sleeper in the Big 12 this year after last year's 5-7 season. That was not only a surprise, but it was uncharacteristic of a Kyle Whittingham coach team. The message to the Utes through fall camp so far has been that a year like that again this season would be unacceptable. That message has connected with the returning players on the Utes roster.
Man, I feel like it feels critical, especially for, myself. A lot of older guys on the team. 2 back-to-back seasons like that, that's not who we are. That's not what we want to start Utah football, in that trainer direction. So we're going to get this thing turned around, and we'll take the burden. We'll take all the pressure on us. We love it.
We'll have more college football later in the show. Now to golf, and the focus of the PGA Tour now turns to the FedEx Cup. The top 50 finalized after this weekend's St. Jude Classic. Tony Finau on the outside looking in at number 60. He will not move on to the BMW Championship next week. Highlights of the St. Jude Championship final round. You saw it right here on KSL 5. Tommy Fleetwood entered Sunday with a 1-stroke lead, but on hole 17, a 7-foot putt for Fleetwood, and he pulls it right. He would bogey to drop down to 15 under. His partner for the round, Justin Rose, nipping at his heels, sinks this putt to jump ahead of Fleetwood to 16 under. 1 hole ahead, J.J. Spawn on hole 18, also at 16 under with a chance to take the lead. Ends up right next to the cup. He would tap in for par. Now he waits for Fleetwood and Rose. And on 18, Fleetwood would need to chip it in for birdie, but he can't swing it. He would finish at 14 under. So Justin Rose now with a chance to win it. Oh, his birdie putt doesn't fall. We get a playoff. Here we go. The drama of the sudden death playoff did not disappoint. First playoff hole, both golfers with a chance to win it with a birdie. This putt by Spawn was incredible, except it didn't go in. Lips out, but what an effort. Justin Rose now can win it, but his putt also lips out. So on the playoff hole number 2, Spawn with another long birdie attempt. This time he finds the bottom of the cup. Wow. Reminder of his U.S. Open performance. Now Rose must make this putt to stay alive, fighting off the pressure, and he does it. So we end up on a 3rd playoff hole. Rose going to the birdie putt, and he sinks it. Now the pressure is on Spawn. His putt, just a little left. And just like that, Justin Rose with his 12th PGA Tour victory, he wins the St. Jude Classic.
That ball is deep, profar, at the wall! He brought it back!
There's been some incredible home run robbing catches this season in Major League Baseball. Jurickson and Profar of the Atlanta Braves at the latest effort on Saturday. That is insane. There was a catch that good on Sunday in Major League Baseball, but we had a couple. There wasn't one that good, but a couple that were close and both worthy of our play of the day.
More to the center field side, the center fielder can go after it.
It's a tough one here, but Garcia coming in. Did he stay with it? He did! What a catch! A little juggling act with it!
Adolis Garcia of the Texas Rangers shows off the concentration in those powder blue unis. In the same game, Phillies outfielder Harrison Bader tracks down the fly ball to center, and he robs the home run. The play in Major League Baseball right now in the outfield has been just absolutely ridiculous.
It was 6-3 at one point. Brewers have tied it up. Collins, fly ball, deep into right field. Isaac Collins, it is a walk-off home run!
Brewers trailed 5-0 at one point and rallied a walk-off the Mets for their 9th straight win. The Brew Crew with the best record in baseball by 5 games. Who saw that coming this year? We have to take a quick timeout. More college football when we return.
Those to me would be two of the guys that I think have stood out the most.
Mitch Harper has the latest on the BYU quarterback battle. Is freshman Bear Bachmeier still in the mix?
The work that Dampier put in with his receivers this summer has really allowed them to hit the ground running.
Devin Dampier has emerged as a charismatic leader for the Utes, but who will be throwing the ball to the receivers? Who's going to step up? Steve Bartle will give us a Utah camp update on the other side.
You're watching KSL Sports Live.
The countdown continues. Just 20 days until the college football season kicks off. For BYU, that will be at Lavelle Edwards Stadium on August 30th against Portland State. And once again, the BYU defense is expected to be one of the best in the Big 12. The Cougars returned several key starters from a defense that led the Big 12 in scoring defense, 13th in the nation in total defense, and they were 3rd in the nation in forced turnovers with 29. One of the reasons why they finished 11-2. And despite those impressive numbers, players believe they could have been better, and they expect improvement in 2025.
We left some out on the field last year, and I want those back, you know. And not just me, it's also just a team thing, a goal for everyone here. I think for us, the sky's the limit, man. I feel like we're going to go all the way this year. That's my goal and the expectation we have as a team. Right now, we're just putting together the building blocks to make that happen.
On offense, while the quarterback battle rages on, there's also competition in the wide receiver room. Chase Roberts is the clear wide receiver 1 and is expected to be one of the best in the country. But BYU will need more pass catchers to step up this season. JoJo Phillips, Cody Hagan, Tay Nakua, Parker Kingston, Tiger Bachmeier, Reggie Frischneck, Dom McKenzie. Chase is excited to see who steps up in that group when called upon.
They are great athletes, number one, which always helps. But more importantly, they're great people, and they're very smart, know the playbook really well. I feel like that adds a lot of greatness to our wide receiver room when you're dialed in, when you're ready to play, and when you're excited to go out and play football and make some plays. So I think we can just take it to the next level and make those contested catches, be those dogs on the field and block and finish our assignment every play, and we're going to have a deep room this year.
Yeah, football season full swing. We just listened to what the Cougars had to say about their first scrimmage of fall camp on Saturday. Mitch, I kind of want to get your take about it. We got Mitch Harper, our KSL Sports BYU insider, joining us now to talk about BYU fall camp and this opening scrimmage. And Mitch, yeah, there's obviously going to be a lot of talk about this quarterback competition. The coaches talked a little bit about it. They didn't reveal much. But where do we stand with this competition so far?
It's got to be nearing where you're trimming it down from 3 to 2. And the guys that I look at are McKay Hillstead and Bear Bachmeier. Those to me would be two of the guys that I think have stood out the most in camp. And I think, McKay Hillstead is someone that, we know him locally from his time at Skyridge as an elite, dynamic athlete. And he's tough, too. McKay Hillstead navigated injuries, didn't play behind the greatest offensive lines at Utah State, but still really dynamic, a good athlete. And that's shown up in practices, too, during media observations. Probably the most consistent quarterback. And then Bear Bachmeier, the potential's there. This is a quarterback that Aaron Roderick pursued heavily out of the high school ranks and wanted him until he committed to Stanford. And then he transfers to BYU. And he had a long list of suitors that could have taken him. So those are the two guys I look at. And Bachmeier, of course, having that touchdown pass to Cody Hagan, I think it's got to help his cause when it comes to this race that it's going to be very interesting in week 3.
Yeah, not a lot of, progress by the offense. At least that's the way the coaches sold it to us, is that offense maybe didn't live up to the levels they expected them to, but you said Bear had the 1 touchdown pass. Does that maybe, I don't know, what does that do for him in this race?
I think it's just a data point that you look at it, but I think ultimately you got to look at the whole collection of things. And look, BYU's offense, they've got personnel around this quarterback, and whoever takes that job is going to be in a position where they've got talented personnel around them with an L.J. Martin, Sione Moa at running back. And I think this offensive line has the potential to be even better than last year. There's been times where there's been camp where there's been issues with snaps from Bruce Mitchell, but I still think the overall talent and the depth, Kalani said on Saturday that it's 12 to 13 players that they could turn to. So I think that this is a talented offensive line, and I think that the quarterback position, it's maybe not a known strength right now, but over the course of the season, it could be something that develops into a positive.
Okay, but one thing we do know is that this defense, they're expected to be great again. Jay Hill did wonders with them last year. What have you seen so far in camp? I mean, on the scrimmage on Saturday, they mentioned defense won the day, but what have you seen out of this crew so far through camp that leads you to believe they can be that type of top defense in the Big 12 again?
Keanu Tanavasa is living up to the expectations and hype that he received. He's becoming the leader, and he's taking on the role of Tyler Batty, being that vocal guy, and Tanavasa has been a force inside from the defensive line to the point where sometimes the offensive line, which I heaped praise on, has looked, they've struggled against Keanu Tanavasa. I also think Tausili Akana, too, Texas transfer, elite first step, and probably best pass rushing ability I've seen from a BYU defensive end since Bronson Kafusi and Ziggy Ansah. An incredible athlete. It just hasn't been realized at Texas yet, but I think Jay Hill is tapping into that, former four-star potential that Tausili Akana had. So I think that defensive line is going to generate more pressure. And then you go to the second level, and the linebackers are as good as we've seen BYU's linebackers ever. And that's saying something considering the history at that position for BYU. Jack Kelly, Isaiah Glasker, I think two of the best linebackers in the Big 12. And Cialia Serra, Che Bryant-Strother, they're rotating at that Mike linebacker spot. They are going to be one of the best linebacking units in college football this year. That's a strong, deep, talented group. They're going to be special this season.
A lot to look forward to with this BYU football team this fall, including the quarterback race, the defense, all those things we just talked about. Can't wait to see what happens here as fall camp continues. Mitch, thanks for joining us.
You bet, Sam.
In Logan, there's no question who will be starting under center for the Aggies. Bryson Barnes is back for one last ride. He's determined to go out a winner. The senior started 5 games last year for the Aggies and completed 61% of his passes, 17 combined touchdowns through the air and on the ground. And over the last few months, he's earned the respect of his new head coach, Bronco Mendenhall.
He's mature, he's tough, he's experienced, he's a really strong leader. He's really the epitome of what our program is, really the identity of our valley, let alone our team. He represents us all really well.
While BYU is trying to identify a QB1, Utah knows who their guy is, and Devin Dampier has quickly emerged as a leader in the program, and that leadership continues to stand out throughout camp. But a good quarterback still needs some good pass catchers to throw the ball to, right? And that might be the biggest question mark for Utah's offense. Utah has 17 wide receivers on the roster currently. Only one of them has more than 30 career receptions on that roster, and that's New Mexico transfer Ryan Davis. But stats don't always tell the whole story, and this receiving corps believes it's just a reflection of the depth they will bring to the offense this fall.
You can't just have a couple guys in the Big 12 or SEC or Big 10, So you got to have multiple dudes, and they've came in and made some plays for us. So it's fun. We got a good group of guys, and we're rotating in. Everybody's making plays. It's been awesome.
2 receivers new to the program but have the potential to become stars are Tobias Merriweather, the junior transfer from Cal and Notre Dame, and junior transfer Larry Simmons from Southern Miss and Ole Miss. Both came here because they recognized the opportunity.
I think it's easy. I was on a team that didn't win a lot of games last year, and I think nobody likes to lose. And I think coming with Coach Witt, he's a winner, and that's what I love. I love winners. I love the year-round winners because they make you better.
Well, it certainly is full-fledged football season right now, even though we're still in August. We've got a week left of Utes camp, but practices will continue all the way to August 30th when they kick off the season against UCLA. To talk about some Utah football with us, we're bringing our Utes expert, our insider, Steve Bartle. Steve, thanks for hopping on the show again this week.
No problem, Sam. Glad to be here, man.
Yeah, let's have some fun. Let's talk about Utah football. And I think there's been so much excitement surrounding this new offense and Devin Dampier coming to the U. I think that's a good place to start. How has Devin been developing here and transitioning to the U? Obviously, he's got that familiarity with Jason Beck.
Yeah, I think that is the big story of camp and really the offseason for Utah. It has been Devin Dampier. And, with him coming to Utah, having that experience under Jason Beck, that was, a nice little head start for him in terms of his acclimation and coming to Utah. And not only has it benefited him knowing the X's and O's of the offense, but it put him in a natural position of leadership where he was essentially an extension of Coach Beck. And so everybody kind of looked to him in terms of, learning the offense and picking his brains about what they needed to do. So that has helped him sort of emerge as a natural leader. And when you get to talk with Devin Dampier, he's a charismatic kid, and it's easy to warm up to him in terms of, just being that sort of charismatic personality, right?
But on the other side of the ball, one thing you could always rely on up at the U is that nasty, physical, tough, stout defense. They're always there year in and year out. Still, this offseason, you got to reload a little bit, right? They lost a few key players there, but I would expect Utah's defense to still be pretty tough, right?
Yeah, it's going to be, the typical Utah defense again this year. And, they have lost, a few key players, guys that moved on to the NFL, guys that have graduated, guys that hit the transfer portal. But Utah just has a way of reloading on the defense side of the ball under Morgan Scalley. And, when you talk about some of those positions where they do need to reload, you can start at the defensive line with defensive tackle, right? So they're going to not rely on, but they're the guys that are going to provide the depth that Utah needs at that tackle position. The guy that's going to that they're going to rely on is Dallas Vakalahi.
Okay.
He's going to be the guy in that defensive tackle room that they feel is going to take that next step. He was a true freshman last year. They feel he can take another step and really become a really disruptive, a really stout defensive tackle to kind of hold down the fort on the inside.
Well, they always crank out top talent at that position, so I would expect those guys will catch on pretty quickly. I'm curious to know, though, what the big difference is, the mindset going into the season this year compared to last year. Last year you had the veteran quarterback coming back with Cam Rising. We didn't know what was going to happen there, obviously, throughout the year. This year, what's the change? What's the difference in mindset? You got a totally new offense, too.
With bringing in, Devin Dampier, bringing in a number of new players, that defense returns a lot of players that battled, in those games last season, that have that sour taste in their mouth. And it feels like, it sounds like, this group has sort of embraced that underdog mentality. And that's sort of what we've seen and felt and heard from them in fall camp.
I mean, we like the term underdog a lot, right? And players like to embrace that. I don't think the Utes will be much fun. I think they're going to be near the top of the standings this year. They're going to be pretty good. All right, Steve, thanks for joining us this week.
Appreciate it, Tim.
Yep.
All right, now to the Jazz. It's a salary dump for the Celtics, but George Niang is coming back to Utah. The minivan making the trip from Boston to Utah. Jazz get 2 future second-round picks in this deal as well. George, of course, played 4 seasons with the Jazz from 2017 to 2021. He's coming off one of his best NBA seasons at age 31. He averaged 12 points per game and shot 41% from 3 with the Atlanta Hawks. He split last year with the Hawks and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, the Utah Jazz have made it very clear. They're fully invested in the youth movement next season, building for the success of the future, but they still have an all-star caliber player on the roster, and he did something this weekend that reminded all of us just how good he can be, and of course that is Lauri Markkanen. He's representing Finland at FIBA's Eurobasket A tournament, held once every 4 years. Friday in Finland's prep game against Belgium, first 2 buckets of the game for Finland were pretty loud. Lauri rocking the rim, and that was just the start of a monster game. Markkanen had made 17 of 24 shots, 7 of them from three-point range. He scored 48 points in just 25 minutes played. Their first real game of competition will come August 27th against Sweden. Aggie fans, do you remember Ty Wesley? You better. He was the WAC Player of the Year in 2011 and an honorable mention All-American. Well, today at the FIBA Asia Cup, Wesley, playing for Guam, was the star of the game, recording 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists in Guam's 82-73 win over Syria. He was named the TCL Player of the Game for that win.
They take it 90 feet that maybe isn't there. That's well hit, right center. Yastrzemski turns at the wall, and it's gone.
Luke Kashaw walks it off for the Twins in extra innings. They take 2 of 3 from the Royals. You continue in Major League Baseball. The Mariners' newest Hall of Famer, Ichiro Suzuki, throwing out the first pitch Sunday. Man, that catcher's huge. Wait a minute. That's Randy Johnson. He did the honors of catching that pitch from one Hall of Famer to another. Pretty cool day in Seattle. All right, Cal Raleigh's breakout season continues for the Mariners against the Rays. Bottom of the first, Raleigh belts his 45th home run of the season. Of course, that leads the majors and gives the Mariners a 2-run lead early. 1-run game in the 7th, and Josh Naylor with a 2-run shot to right. How about the Mariners? They win 6-3. They've won 7 straight and 9 of their last 10, trailing the Astros just by a half game. First place Dodgers, first place Blue Jays. 5 home runs in this game, the first by Shohei Ohtani. That's his 41st of the season. That ties the game at 1. We're still in the first inning. It's Freddie Freeman's turn. A solo shot gives the Dodgers the lead. It looked like they were going to sweep the Blue Jays. They led 3-2 in the 8th, but then the Blue Jays get hot at the plate. Vlad Guerrero Jr. with a solo shot to tie the game at 3. Then with the game tied at 4 in the 9th. The Blue Jays' Ernie Clement with a solo home run. And the Blue Jays avoid the sweep with a 5-4 victory. Let's check in with the Salt Lake Bees, wrapping up a series at home against the Las Vegas Aviators. 4th inning. A fly ball to center. Watch Nelson Rada go full Superman for a web gem. Bottom of the inning. The Bees take control when Scott Kingery hits a 3-run home run to left field. Crown him. The Bees would hold on to win 6-3. They now head to Central Texas to start a 6-game series in Round Rock starting Tuesday against the Express. The back-to-back defending PLL champion Utah Archers were eliminated from the playoffs this weekend, but on Friday night, they played like champions against the Carolina Chaos. 4th quarter, Archers down a goal. Mac O'Keefe lets it ride from 2-point range, and he scores. Utah takes the lead 10-9. A bit later, tied at 10. It's Connor Maher behind the head for the 11-10 lead, and Utah would hold on to the 1-goal win. The Archers become the first defending champion in PLL history that will not defend their title in the playoffs. All right, it is time. The high school football season kicks off this week, and KSL Sports is your home for all things high school football. Here on KSL Sports Live over at KSLSports.com and on the KSL Plus app. The Game Night Live Game of the Week for Week 1, Mountain Ridge at Skyridge. Of course, you can watch that game live on the KSL Plus app or the KSL Sports app or at KSLSports.com. We'll also be streaming more than a dozen other games. So whatever game you're looking for, go to KSLSports.com, see if it's there, check it out. We got so much to look forward to. Another season to kick off. We cannot wait. Let the high school football begin, and we are your home on KSLSports.com.